Okay, so first of all, I welcome all of you in this lecture. So, good morning to everyone,
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
and sorry for the delay. So, okay, so without wasting much of our further time, so let me begin with today's session. So, first of all, yes, please, anyone recall for me what do we mean by Archimedean property, or you can say what is the statement of Archimedean property? Yes, anyone? Yes, Abhed Khan, unmute yourself and tell me what is Archimedean property. Yes, please unmute yourself and tell me what is Archimedean property.
तो आर्किमिडीज प्रॉपर्टी ये होता है कि अगर हम कोई भी एक रियल नंबर चूज करें तो आर्किमिडीज ने ये कहा कि वो कोई भी ऐसा नेचुरल नंबर हमें दे सकते हैं जो वो उस रियल नंबर से बड़ा हो।
See, your voice is not proper because there is some noise in the background. Okay, so let me ask the same definition to someone else. Yes, Unnati Pandey, unmute yourself and tell me what is Archimedean property. Yes, I'm not able to hear you, Unnati. Okay, yes, Roshan Shah, unmute yourself and tell us what is Archimedean property. Yes, Abhet. It is exactly. See, what is the statement? Remember, this statement is very important because you will see the beautiful uses of Archimedean property in our further course. Okay, so for see, what is the statement? Statement is so simple. You give me any real number, I will give you a natural number such that your real number is always less than my natural number. That is the statement of Archimedean property, and we have already seen some consequences based on Archimedean property. So let me present that PDF in front of you. Yes, please let me know. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And remember, see, whenever whatever I have taught you in my previous lecture, you need to revise that thing at your home in the same day so that your concept will be more clear. से इफ यू थिंक दैट नहीं आज नहीं हम कल करेंगे तो वो कल कभी नहीं आएगा. ओके, सो जब भी आपको बोला गया हो या फिर हमने जब भी सीखा हो, आप सेम डे में एट द इवनिंग और जैसे आपको टाइम मिले आप रिवाइज कर लो, जिससे कि आपके कॉन्सेप्ट अच्छे से क्लियर होंगे और आपको पता चलेगा आपको कहाँ पर डाउट है, सो दैट यू कैन आस्क दैट डाउट इन माई नेक्स्ट लेक्चर. Okay, so without further ado, let me begin with today's session. So here is our next property, that is well ordering principle. Okay, now you can see the statement of this well ordering principle is also straightforward, or you can say quite a bit say easiest. Okay, why it is easiest? Because this statement is based on set of natural number. So here is the statement: every non-empty subset of n has a least element. Now, what do we mean by least element? Anyone?
Smallest element.
smallest element. So first of all, tell me, can I say the set itself is the subset, or you can say a set is the subset of itself? Can I say that? Yes. For example, you consider the set of natural number. तो मैं set of natural number को set of natural number का subset बोल सकता हूँ या नहीं बोल सकता?
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely. So what is the least element in the set of natural number?
1.
Exactly. So the least element for the set of natural number is 1. So now the statement is saying what? You pick any non-empty subset of natural number, you will always get a least element in that non-empty subset of natural number. Is the statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see the statement of this well ordering principle is also quite straightforward. Okay, because we are always having the least element in the set of natural number, which is nothing but 1. And if you pick any subset of natural number, you will always get the least element in that subset. For example, if it is not clear, so let me give you an example. You consider the set of natural number. You consider the set of natural number and pick any subset. So let me picking a subset A of natural number which contains say 7 elements. 3, 7, 9, 11 and say 20. Okay, instead of 7, let me take it as 5 only. Now observe, can I say this A is the subset of natural number? Yes, so this we can always say this is the subset of natural number. Now what is the least element for set A?
3.
So
3.
3 is the least element. So this is the well ordering principle. Okay, you pick any non-empty subset of natural number, you will always get a least element in that set. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In other words, you can rewrite it as A is the subset of natural number which is non-empty. A is not empty. Then there exists an element small s belongs to capital S such that S is always smaller than every element of the set A. Okay, that is this S is nothing but the least element for the set A. So this is well ordering principle. Now we are having the next theorem. For every x in R, there exists an integer say m such that m minus 1 is less than x is less than or is equals to m. Now first of all tell me, can I say this statement is also obvious? Observe this statement carefully और मुझे बताओ ये statement हमें क्या बताना चाह रहा है. For every real number x, okay, means you pick any real number. Please focus on this statement carefully because I am leaving the proof of this statement for your homework. Okay, here I am explaining the statement to you. For every x in real number means what? आप real number में से कोई भी element pick करो. For example, I am picking an element say 2.5. Now can I say 2.5 is real number?
Yes.
Yes. So 2.5 is a real number. Now this statement tells me what? There exists an integer m such that ये जो real number हमने x pick किया है वो always lie कहाँ पे होना चाहिए? between m and m minus 1. Okay, so tell me which value of m we should take such that this 2.5 is between m and m minus 1. Which value of m works here? Yes, so 3 will work because 2.5 is less than or is equals to 3 and 2.5 is bigger than 3 minus 1, which is nothing but 2. Okay, similarly, remember this statement is true for every real number x. Okay, now you pick any real number, you will always find an integer m such that that real number x is always lying between m and m minus 1. Is the statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of doubt in it? And remember, this statement is true for all x belongs to real number, no matter how small or how large x you are picking. Okay, for example, if you pick, say, x as 10 to the power 7, okay, that is 1 crore. Now, can you tell me an integer such that this 1 crore is lying between m minus 1 and m? Can you tell me the value of m for this 1 crore? Yes?
Sir, it can,
Sorry?
sir, it can be eight between 10 and 7 to 10.
See, Shweta, your voice is breaking.
Yes,
10,
sir.
Yes, Aradhna?
10 crore.
10 crore, but you can see that is very much far away. Okay, you can see here we are having equality also. Okay, observe this statement carefully. At the end, here we are having either less than or equality also. So, what happens if I pick the same number as m? That is 1 crore only, because
Yes,
100 crore is far away. Okay, if you want, you can pick that also, doesn't matter, because we want this number is lying between these two numbers, that is m minus 1 and m. But you can see at the end here we are having equality also, so you don't go further, just think on it.
yes, sir.
Okay, so the value of m is 1 crore, and here we are having 1 crore minus 1. So you can say 10 to the power 7 minus 1. Is it okay? Yes, is this clear to you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the proof, you will see the beautiful use of Archimedean property. Okay, please go through this proof by yourself, because see, my aim is to complete this unit by today itself. Okay, so please go through this proof at your home, and if you won't understand, then please let me know. I think these two proofs are exactly same. Okay, so let me take this proof, and the next one I am leaving for your homework because both are same. Okay, so here we are having two cases. Okay, now here I am doing the proof for you for this theorem. Please understand this proof carefully. The same way you are going to prove for the next theorem. Now, what do we mean by for every x belongs to real number? Yes? X belongs to real number means what? X is either
Positive, negative, and 0.
so by law of trichotomy, if X belongs to real number, which means what? X is either bigger than 0, X is equals to 0, or X is less than 0. So here we are considering the two cases. First one is X is bigger than or is equals to 0 means X is non-negative. And in the second case, we are going to deal with what happens when X is less than 0. Okay, so here we are considering the two cases. So you consider this set S, let S is equals to T belongs to natural numbers such that T is bigger than or is equals to X. Now what do we mean by this set? Yes? Just think on this set and tell me have you understood this set or which elements are there in this set S.
uh,
Yes, Shweta, I think there is
Sir,
some.
natural number.
Yes.
Sir, natural number.
See, in this set S, we are collecting natural numbers. Okay. But which natural numbers we are collecting in this set? There is some condition. What is that condition?
greater than X.
That natural number T is bigger than or is equals to X. For example, if I pick say real number say 1, or you can say that natural number is say the value of X is 2. Now tell me which elements are there in my set S.
3, 4, 5, and so on.
Okay.
But this
What about the number 2? Can I say 2 belongs to set
Yes,
S?
yes,
yes, sir.
Yes, because here we are having equality also. सो रिमेंबर आप कोई भी x पिक करोगे तो आपको इस सेट S में कौन से नेचुरल नंबर डालना है जो x से या फिर इक्वल होंगे या फिर x से बड़े होंगे. इज दैट क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here we are using an Archimedean property. So by Archimedean property, there exists a natural number t naught such that this t naught is bigger than x. Okay, here we are considering x which are bigger than or is equals to 0 is a real number. So according to our Archimedean property, we will always find a natural number. Let us call that natural number as t naught, such that our natural number t naught is bigger than real number x. यहाँ तक क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we are just using an Archimedean property. Now observe this relation. Which number is bigger, t naught or x?
T naught.
T naught. Now can I say if t naught is bigger than x, then t naught belongs to the set S?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because in the set S we are collecting all those natural number which are either bigger than x or equal to x. Here we are getting t naught is bigger than x. So this implies what? T naught belongs to the set of t naught belongs to the set S. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? यहाँ तक किसी को कुछ डाउट? क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move further. Now here we are having an element say t naught belongs to the set S. So can I say set S is non-empty then?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because we find one element t naught belongs to the set S. So we can say that this set S is non-empty. Okay, अब इस set S को ध्यान से ऑब्जर्व करो. सेट S में हम क्या पुट कर रहे हैं? Natural numbers. So can I say this set S is the subset of natural number?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In fact, we can say something more. This set S is a non-empty subset of natural number. यहाँ तक क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
ओके अब वेल ऑर्डरिंग प्रिंसिपल का स्टेटमेंट देखो क्या बता रहा है हमें. Every non-empty subset of natural number has a least element. This is the statement of well ordering principle. हमने यहाँ पे क्या कंक्लूड किया? S is a non-empty subset of natural number. So by well ordering principle, can I say S has a least element?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is by well ordering principle. So let us call that least element as M. Okay. See, right now we don't know what is that least element, but let us name it as M. Okay. So M is my least element for the set S. So if M is the least element, so can I say M belongs to S?
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is obvious, right? Because अगर हम किसी भी एलिमेंट को उस सेट का लिस्ट एलिमेंट बोल रहे हैं, विच मीन्स व्हाट, वो एलिमेंट उस सेट में प्रेजेंट होना चाहिए. So M belongs to S and M is the least element, which means what? Okay, now here M is the least element, so we are saying this M belongs to S. तो अगर M S में बिलोंग कर रहा है तो M कैसा होगा? व्हाट इज द रिलेशन बिटवीन M एंड X?
Greater than or equals to X.
Greater than or is equals to X, because the elements of S are nothing but all those T's which are bigger than or equals to X. And here we are saying this M belongs to S, which means what? This M is also having, or this M has bigger than or is equals to X. Okay. And we are saying M is the least element of S. Okay. Remember, here we are having a turning point of this theorem. We are saying M is bigger than or is equals to X, and M is the least element of S. Now tell me, what is the relation between M minus 1 and M?
M is greater than M minus 1.
M is bigger than M minus 1. And we are saying this M is the least element of the set S. So can I say M minus 1 belongs to S?
No.
Yes, sir.
No. So this implies what? M minus 1 doesn't belongs to the set S. यहाँ तक क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
किसी को कुछ डाउट यहाँ तक? समझ में आ रहा है क्या हो रहा है?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So this implies what? This M minus 1 is strictly less than X. Okay, because M minus 1 doesn't belongs to the set S, and in the set S we are having all those X which are either less than T or bigger than which are either less than T or equals to T. But here we are saying M minus 1 doesn't belongs to S, which means what? M minus 1 is strictly less than X. So अब हम खाली इन दो स्टेटमेंट को कंबाइन करेंगे. Here we are having M minus 1 is less than X, and here we are having to M. Hence we get M minus 1 is less than X, which is less than or is equals to M in this case. So is the case number 1 clear?
Yes, sir.
ओके, सो यू कैन सी हमें वही प्रूव करना था, m minus 1 is less than x is less than or is equals to m. But there is something here. We want to pick m belongs to an integer, and here we have chosen this m. You can see here we have chosen this m as the least element of S, which belongs to set of natural number. But this we can always do, because set of natural number is the subset of integer. Okay, so if you pick any element from the natural number, then that element automatically belongs to the set of integer. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, so this is all about our case number 1, in which we have shown m minus 1 is less than x, which is less than or is equals to m whenever m is an integer. Now let us deal with the next case. What happens when x is less than 0? Okay, now in this case also we are playing a trick. Here we are saying x is less than 0. Then what we can say about minus x?
Greater than 0.
So minus x is bigger than 0. So if minus x is bigger than 0, then you can see we will again in the case 1 now. Because in the case 1 we are picking all those x which are either bigger than 0 or equals to 0. So if minus x is bigger than 0, so again we are land up in the case number 1. So you again write down the same steps. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So will you do this second case by your own, or shall I need to explain? The same argument you are going to follow. So will you do it by your own?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Remember, the statement is important. Now let's move on the next theorem. That is, for every x belongs to R, again we will find an integer m such that this number x, now it is lying between m and m plus 1. Okay, this is also obvious. Okay, again, if I pick this x as 1 crore, then you will say you pick m to be again 1 crore. Okay, so on the right hand side we are having 1 crore and 1, and on the left hand side we are having 1 crore, that is 10 to the power 7. Okay, so this m we can always find in the set of integers, such that this real number x is always lying between m and m plus 1. The same argument you are going to write down in this theorem also. Okay, so I am leaving this theorem for yourself. Please go through this theorem by your own, line by line, and make sure that you have understood each and every step which are mentioned in this proof. Okay, the idea is you construct the sets. In the previous theorem, we have considered the set S. Here also in the case number 1, you consider set S, and in case number 2, you consider set M. Okay, and the same argument you are going to follow in this theorem also. And here is the remark for you. The value m such that m minus 1 is less than x is less than or is equals to m is the least integer greater than or is equals to x. Have you heard about greatest integer function? Yes. इसके पहले आपने कभी जूनियर कॉलेज में कभी सुना है व्हाट डू वी mean by greatest integer function?
Yes, sir.
What about others?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir. पता है
what
greatest
it
integer
is?
function.
What is the notation? This rectangular bracket, right?
Yes.
And what happens if I put an element say 2.9 in this greatest integer function? Then what is the answer of this number?
It rounds off the real number down to the integer less than the number.
So tell me what is the answer of this?
2 maybe.
Yes, so it is not rounding towards the real number, it is rounding towards the natural number, or you can say an integer. Okay, so the answer of this greatest integer function is nothing but 2. Okay, so this is exactly opposite to this greatest integer function. Okay, because here we are having an upper bound for this x. So this is nothing but the least integer function. Okay, and this one is nothing but the greatest integer function. Okay, you can see there is the difference between these two. In the first one, we are having the right hand side maybe equals to that number x, but for this second one, we are having the left hand side is equals to this number x, which means what? This second inequality is nothing but our greatest integer function, and this first inequality is nothing but our least integer function. And here you are having is the least integer greater than or equal to this number x, and it is denoted by this one. Okay, now this is the new terminology, or you can say new symbol for you. It is known as ceiling function. ओके, सीलिंग मीन्स व्हाट? जैसे हम सीलिंग फैंस वगैरह लगाते हैं, तो सीलिंग फैंस हम ऑलवेज सीलिंग पर लगाते हैं, दैट इज अपर पार्ट में. तो ये हमने क्या किया, ये जो स्ट्रेट लाइन है और यू कैन से हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन, ये हमने इसके सीलिंग पर अटैच कर दी. हेंस इट इज नथिंग बट द सीलिंग फंक्शन. तो इसमें अगर मैं कोई भी वैल्यू डालूंगा से 2.9, सेम वैल्यू आई एम पिकिंग, तो इसका जो भी अपर इंटीजर आएगा वो आंसर आएगा इसका. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, व्हाट इज द अपर इंटीजर फॉर दिस नंबर?
3.
3. So answer of this ceiling function of 2.9 is nothing but 3. And now onwards we are going to denote the greatest integer function by this new symbol also, which are called as floor function. Floor means फर्श या फिर जमीन. Okay, so this is ceiling function and this is flooring function. And if you put the same number inside this flooring function, then we are having this function behaves like a greatest integer function. So the answer of this flooring function is nothing but 2. Is the two terminologies clear? What do we mean by ceiling function and what do we mean by flooring function?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we will deal with these terminologies in our next semester, but right now you just focus on these two things. What do we mean by least integer and what do we mean by greatest integer? But you just remember the names. Least integer is nothing but ceiling function. Greatest integer is nothing but the flooring function. Okay. Now we are in the... Yes.
Sir, what will happen if we put negative integers in greatest integers?
In ceiling function or in flooring function, so let us take the example of both. Now first I am taking an example of flooring function. You put minus, first of all you put minus 2 inside this greatest integer function. Then what is the answer?
-2.
Minus 2 itself. Okay, remember this ceiling, this flooring function is nothing but all those x which are between m and m minus 1, or you can say m and m plus 1. Let us see what it is. Okay, now we are considering the second part, that is greatest integer less than or is equals to x, which is nothing but we are considering all those x which are between m and m plus 1. Okay, so हम खाली ये वाला definition apply करेंगे. We are considering all those x which are between m and m plus 1. Okay, now in this case we are putting the value of x is minus 2. Okay, and you can see left in the on the left hand side we are having less than or equality. So here which value of m will work for this minus 2? Yes, you can see this minus 2 itself will work because minus 2 is less than or is equals to minus 2, which is less than minus 2 plus 1, which is nothing but minus 1. Okay, so we are considering this value as our flooring function, that is minus 2 itself. Now let me take another example. You put minus 1.9 inside this flooring function. Now tell me what is the answer?
-1.
Now in this case you are putting x is equals to minus 1.9. Okay, now our aim is to pick the suitable m such that this minus 1.9 is between m and m plus 1. Will you get my point?
Sir, -1.
Is it minus 1? First
-2.
of all,
Yes.
tell me, minus 1.9 is lying between which two integers? Yes, minus 1.9 is lying between which two integers?
-1 and -2.
So tell me where I need to write minus 1 or where I need to write minus 2. You need to specify on the left or on the right.
Left में -1.
Okay, left में minus 1 और right में minus 2. Is it?
The right.
Yes. Is it?
Sir, on left side -2.
On left side we are having minus 2. And on the right hand side we are having minus 1.
-1.
Yes, yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay, now observe. अब इन दोनों वैल्यूज में आपको चेक करना है विच वन इज द लीस्ट वैल्यू. Because
-2.
this is our x, this is our m plus 1 and this is our m. Okay, so हमें कौन सा नंबर पिक करना है फॉर दिस फ्लोरिंग फंक्शन? m. तो यहाँ पे m कौन सा है? -2. Hence the answer of this is nothing but -2. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
In
Yes, sir.
short, see the statement itself is saying what do we mean by greatest integer? ग्रेटेस्ट इंटीजर लेस देन और इज इक्वल्स टू x। तो यहाँ पे x से लेस देन नंबर कौन सा है? m है। अगर इक्वल टू होता तो भी m ही आता। ओके, बिकॉज ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड वी आर हैविंग लेस देन और इक्वालिटी। So greatest integer less than or is equals to x. That's why we are having the answer of this flooring function is -2. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me what is the answer of -3.5? See, always आपको check क्या करना है? -3.5 is lying between which two integers?
-4.
So the answer of this is nothing but
-3.
-4. Okay. Now for ceiling function, we are exactly doing the opposite of this. Okay, and the notation is this one. Now what happens if I put -1.9 in the ceiling function? Then what you can expect? What is the answer?
-1.
-1. Okay, that is, this is the least integer greater than or is equals to this number x. Okay, ये जो भी हम सीलिंग और फ्लोरिंग फंक्शन में नंबर पुट करेंगे हम उसे x कंसिडर करेंगे. So this is our least integer greater than or is equals to x. Okay, so ये least integer पे आपको ध्यान ही नहीं देना है, उसके आगे क्या लिखा है, ग्रेटर देन और इज इक्वल्स टू एक्स, उस पर ध्यान देना है. ओके, बिकॉज यहाँ पर बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को कंफ्यूजन होता है. Okay, now what happens if I put this -3.5 inside this flooring function? Then what is the answer?
-3.
Then the answer is -3. I hope it is clear now. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, now here we are having the definition of rational as well as irrational. And you can see this we have already done in my very first lecture. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
So again, I am not going in the detail of these definitions. You just see what is the definition of rational number. So rational number is nothing but we can write these numbers in the form of a by b, where a comma b belongs to integers and b is non-zero. That is, this denominator is non-zero. Further, you will see that there is one more condition to it. That is, GCD of a comma b is 1. And I hope you have already studied this GCD in your algebra. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can say that these two numbers are nothing but co-prime. What do we mean by co-prime? You just cancel the common factors from numerator and denominator and write down this a by b in the simplest form. Okay, means what? अगर न्यूमरेटर में 4 है और डिनोमिनेटर में 8 है. Okay. Now tell me what is the GCD of these two numbers 4 and 8?
1/2.
Is it the GCD?
Sir, 4.
GCD is 4. But हमें क्या करना है? Common factor cancel out करना है so that their GCD becomes 1. So we can write this 4 by 8 as 1 by 2. And you will check that the GCD of 1 by 2 is 1 because 2 is the prime number. Okay, so this is our rational number after cancelling the common factors. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how do we define irrational numbers?
Sir, Sir, A by B does not belong.
Simply you just say the set which are not, or you can say the numbers which are not rational are called irrational number. And the notation for irrational number is nothing but r minus q, or you can say q complement. Okay, this also we have done in my very first lecture. So if you forgot it, then please go through that first lecture and please try to see where we have defining this rational and irrational numbers in terms of recurring and non-terminating form also. So you please refer that lecture for better understanding of rational and irrational number, because I don't want to waste my time in the same thing, because we need to cover up so many things. Okay, now here is the theorem. There does not exist a rational number r such that r square is equals to p, where p is the prime number. So first of all, tell me, have you understood this statement?
No, sir.
Yes, what about others? Okay. So tell me about this number root 2 and identify, is it rational or irrational?
Irrational.
So root 2 is irrational. What about root 3?
It is also irrational.
Again, this is irrational. What about pi?
It is also irrational.
It is also irrational. Okay, so ये statement हमें क्या बताता है इन numbers के बारे में? That is root of some numbers, or you can say root of prime numbers. Okay, हम इस r square is equals to p को हम कैसे लिखेंगे? R is same as under root p, where this p is nothing but the prime number. So the statement is saying what? There does not exist the rational number r such that r square is equals to p. In other words, r is nothing but root p, where p is the prime number. Okay, so आपको कभी भी √2, √3, √5, √7 and so on, ये numbers आपको always irrational मिलेंगे, ना कि rationals. Is the statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the question arises, how we are going to show all those numbers are irrational. See, by the very definition of irrational number, in the value of √2 is nothing but 1.414 and so on, which is non-terminating and non-recurring. Hence, we are saying that this number √2 is nothing but irrational number. But you can see in mathematics, we need to give the specific proof for such a statements, so that this statement will be accepted worldwide. So let us try to go into the proof. So suppose if possible, okay, see, our aim is what? Our aim is to show there does not exist a rational number such that this condition holds. Okay, now we are assuming something wrong, so that at the end we will get some contradiction. Is the idea clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So हम वो wrong thing क्या assume करते हैं? Suppose if possible, there exists a rational number. Okay, remember in the statement, there does not exist a rational number. But here we are assuming something wrong. That is, if possible, there exists the rational number such that r square is equals to p. Okay, or you can say r is equals to under root p. Whichever is suitable for you, you can say that. So if r is a rational number, so we can write this r in the form of a by b. Okay, because we are considering this r is nothing but the rational number. So by the definition, r can be written as a by b, where a comma b belongs to integer, b is non-zero, and GCD of a comma b is 1. This is by the definition of rational number. यहाँ तक समझाओ? Okay. So let us come on this line directly. Okay. What we are having r square is equals to p, but r is nothing but a by b, because we are considering r is a rational number. So this is nothing but a by b whole square, which is equals to p, which is same as a square by b square is equals to p. Now this is your standard algebra. Okay, so this can be written as a square is equals to p times b square. Now use the divisibility. A square is equals to p into b square, which means what? Can I say p divides a square?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this you have already studied in your algebra, I think. I don't know how much ma'am has covered from algebra, but I think you have did this. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we are saying p divides a square and p is a prime number. So did you prove this theorem, that is whenever p is prime and p divides a into b, then p must divides one of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So वही theorem हम यहाँ पे apply करेंगे. That is what is the name of that theorem? Have you remember? I think if I am not wrong, then the name of that theorem is nothing but Euclid lemma. Is it? You please check that. Okay. I think the name of that theorem is nothing but Euclid lemma. So using Euclid lemma, we can say that if p divides a square, so we can write a square as a into a. So these are a into b. So if p dividing a into b, then this implies what? This p should divide any one of them. But both are same, so we can say that p divides a. In the bracket, they mention the reason whenever p divides xy, this should implies what? Either p divides x or p divides y. This is the statement of Euclid lemma. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now again here you apply the divisibility. P divides a, which means what? A is same as p times what? समझ रहा है या नहीं समझ रहा? यस. सी, मैं आपके इसके लिए मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ, आप उससे समझो. अगर फिर भी नहीं समझ में आया तो फिर मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा. ओके. कैन आई से 2 डिवाइड 6?
Yes, sir.
Then how can I write this 6? 6 is nothing but 2 into what?
3. 3.
So this 6 can be written as 2 into 3. Okay, this 6 can be written as 2 into 3. अब ये 2 क्या था? This is our prime number p. This 6 is what? This is the number a. Okay, so here we are writing this number a as p times some number. Okay, p times some number, let us call it as t. So whenever p divides a, which means what? We can write this a as the product of two numbers p into t, where t is some real number. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
सो प्लीज़ सी जब भी आप अलजेब्रा भी सीखो तो अगर नहीं समझ में आता है तो आप इस तरीके के एग्जांपल्स लेके सोच सकते हो, सो दैट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट विल बी मोर क्लियर. बिकॉज आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, मैं जब भी FY BSc में था तो फिर मुझे भी ये समझ में नहीं आता था दिस P स्ट्रेट लाइन A. तो हम A को ऐसा लिखेंगे या P को वैसे लिखेंगे. ओके, दिस इज द स्लाइटली कंफ्यूजिंग नोटेशन. सो आप इस तरीके से सोच सकते हो एग्जाम्पल्स लेकर. Okay, so let's proceed further. So let A is equals to P times T. यहाँ तक clear है ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But observe, here we are having A square is equals to P times B square. Okay, here. So A square is equals to P times B square. But what is A? A is nothing but P into T. So you just replace this A by PT. So on the left hand side we are having P square T square, and on the right hand side we are having P into B square. ये clear है?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can see on the left hand side we are having two P's, and on the right hand side we are having one P. So can I say one P get cancelled?
Yes, sir.
So on the left hand side we are having P into T square, and on the right hand side we are having B square. So using this, can I say that P divides B square?
Yes, sir.
Using again divisibility, same argument. If A is equals to PT, which means what? This number P divides A. Here we are having P times T square is equals to B square, which means what? P divides B square. But we can write this B square as B into B. And again here we are applying Euclid lemma. That is, if P divides AB, then P should divides any one of them. And here we are having these two numbers are same. So this implies what? P divides B. So if P divides B, which means what? B can be written as P times some numbers S, where S belongs to some real number. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
ओके, सो उन्होंने L कंसिडर किया है. सो लेट B इज इक्वल्स टू PL, where this L is some real number. But observe, here we are having, see, here we are saying A is equals to PT, and here we are saying B is equals to PL. Okay, let me write it as L so that the notation match from the book. Okay, here we are having A is equals to P times T, and here B is equals to P times L. Okay, where the GCD of these two numbers A and B is 1. You can see here we are assuming that. Observe, here we are saying GCD of A comma B is 1, and here we are saying A is equals to P times T, and here we are saying B is equals to P times L. Okay, which means what? P is a common factor of A and B. ओके, अगर मैं A को P इंटू T लिख रहा हूँ और B को P इंटू L लिख रहा हूँ, तो अगर जब मैं A by B करूँगा, okay, when I am going to do this division, then A is nothing but P into T, and b is nothing but p into L. Okay, so we can cancel this p from the numerator and the denominator. But we assume that GCD of a comma b is 1. So GCD of a comma b is 1, which means what? Which means what? They don't have any common factor. But here we are having they have a common factor, say p. So this is the contradiction which we are getting over here. Okay, so this is the contradiction, hence our assumption is wrong. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So please go through this proof once again at your home and please let me know whether do you have any difficulties while understanding this or not. See, the crucial point is हमें खाली ये show करना है. We can write this A in terms of P times something and we can write this B as P times something. Okay, because if we show this, then they are having a common factor, namely P. But by the assumption that GCD of a comma b is 1, which means what? They are not having the common factor. तो अगर हम शो करते हैं if they are having the common factor, which means what? We are arising to some contradiction. Hence, there does not, now here we are getting that, here we are getting a contradiction, hence our assumption is wrong. And you can see what we have assumed. We have assumed that if possible there exists the rational number with this condition, r square is equals to p. So if this is not true, then what is true? There does not exist a rational number. Hence, there does not exist a rational number r such that r square is equals to p, where p is the prime number. In other words, you can say that root p is an irrational number if p is prime. Okay, so this is the statement which we have proved just now. Now you can see this corollary is just the consequence of the above theorem. That is, there does not exist the rational number r such that r square is equals to 2. In other words, we are going to show root 2 is an irrational number. The same way you are going to prove root 3 is an irrational number, root 5 is an irrational number, and so on. What you can do is you just replace the value of p by 2 in above theorem. ओके, सो इन अबो थ्योरम जहाँ जहाँ पर हमने p लिखा है उसे आप रिप्लेस कर दो बाय द नंबर 2, तो आपको मिल जाएगा रूट 2 इज एन इरेशनल नंबर. इज इट क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we just left with one theorem of this unit, so we will cover this theorem in my next lecture, which is at 11:25. Okay, but let me tell you the statement of this theorem, or let me explain this statement in this lecture only, so that we will directly jump on the proof in my next lecture. Please try to understand this statement carefully. Okay, the name of this theorem is nothing but the density theorem. Okay, very soon you will know why we are calling it as a density theorem. Okay, why we are calling it as density theorem. So let x and y be any two real numbers such that x is less than y. Okay, so here we are considering any two real numbers. Now see, if we are considering any two real numbers, then it is trivial that one of them is smaller than the other. So without loss of generality, we are considering that x is less than y. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
then our aim is to show then there exists a rational number R such that that rational number is lying between these two real number x and y. In other words, between any two distinct real numbers, there exists a rational number. Okay, so this is the statement of density theorem. Between any two distinct real number, there exists a rational number. In fact, you can say something more. Between any two distinct real number, there exist infinitely rational as well as irrational numbers. Now let me explain this to you using an example. You consider a real line and consider two real numbers, say 2 and 3. First of all, tell me, can I say 2 and 3 are two real numbers?
Yes, sir.
Can I say they are distinct?
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Okay. Now my question is, do we have one rational number in between these two real number? What do you expect? Do we have any rational number in between these two real numbers?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, what is that? यस, पहले तो मुझे ये बताओ कि आपने बोला कि इसके अंदर कम से कम एक रैशनल नंबर एग्जिस्ट करेगा. तो इफ इट इज एग्जिस्टिंग, देन हाउ यू विल फाइंड दैट रैशनल नंबर? The natural work is what? You just take the average of these two numbers.
5 by 2.
So what is the average?
0.5.
Average is nothing but 2 plus 3 by 2, which is nothing but 5 by 2. Okay, which is exactly lying in the middle of this interval. Now observe, can I say 5 by 2 is the rational number?
Yes, sir.
Why it is rational? Because it is in the form of P by Q, where Q is non-zero and the GCD of P and Q is 1. Hence, this is the rational number. Now my next question is, क्या इसके अंदर एक ही रैशनल नंबर होगा या हम और भी कई रैशनल नंबर फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं?
Infinite.
If you are saying infinite, then tell me another rational number inside this interval.
Sir, 9 by
Yes?
9 by
9 by 2. 9 by, see, the value of 9 by 2 is 4.5, which is beyond 3. I want rationals in between the 2 and 3 only. So second rational number find out करने के लिए आप क्या करोगे? Now we
Average of-
consider these two real numbers. Okay,
Yes.
2 and 5 by 2. So 2 and 5 by 2 को आपका 2 and 5 by 2 को आपको फिर से एवरेज में कन्वर्ट करना है, और यू कैन से एवरेज लेना है 2 and 5 by 2 का. तो आपको यहाँ पर फिर से एक नया रैशनल नंबर मिलेगा. द सेम वे
9 by
it is not 9 by 2. You are going to take the average.
9 by 4.
Okay, divided by 2. This is the average.
Yes.
Now I am not interested in the answer. Okay, we are interested only in the rational number. If you can do this calculation, then you will find that this is again a rational number. You please check that. Okay, so here we are having another rational number. The same way, if you take the average of 5 by 2 and 3, then here you will get another rational number. Okay, so let me call it as A, and this is B. Again, if you take the average of 2 and A, then you will find another rational number over here. Similarly, if you take the average of B and 3, then you will have another rational number over here. In fact, you will have infinitely many rationals. Okay. In fact, you will have something more, that is, there are infinitely rationals as well as irrational. Okay, for example, if I consider this interval 3 and 4. Okay, now why I'm taking this new interval? The same way you are going to do for getting the rational. Okay, here you are having infinitely rationals. Now, you already told me that the value of pi is irrational, right? Pi
Yes,
is
sir.
irrational number. And what is the value of pi? 3.142 and so on. Okay. So you can see this value of pi is lying between this 3 and 4. Somewhere between 3 and 4. I don't know where it is exactly, but I can say the value of pi is lying between 3 and 4. So if we are having one irrational number in between 3 and 4, so the same theorem you are going to apply to conclude that there are infinitely many rationals. Hence, we are concluding that there are infinitely rationals as well as irrationals between any two distinct real number. Is the statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please understand this statement, and we will see the proof of this statement in my next lecture. So let me stop this lecture here because it's already towards 9:40 and you are having your another lecture at 9:50, I think. So let me stop this lecture here.